Great to see you again, John.
Great to see you as well. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, I won't tell anybody about how you're much better at recycling than actually using the hardware.
No problem at all. No problem at all.
I think it's been about, we've talked, but it's probably been about 10 years since we've actually seen each other in person.
Yep, at David Abel's event.
Yep, yeah, the Verde Exchange, and a lot's happened, huh?
Wow, a lot's happened. A lot's happened. The world is changing faster than ever.
Well, can you start by just giving us a brief intro of who you are, like your name and everything?
Sure. I'm John Shegerian. I'm the co-founder and executive chairman of ERI, and I live in Fresno, California, and I'm originally from New York City.
And ERI stands for?
Electronic Recyclers International. We're the world's largest electronic waste recycling company and also hardware data destruction company as well.
Yeah, that's what I find fascinating, how things have evolved. Can you, Simon Sinek made the word why, the why famous, basically. Brilliant guy. Why do you do what you do? What's your why?
It's a great question, and I love his lecture on the beauty of why. And I don't know any different. I grew up. I'm really lucky to have grown up. My mom was and still is almost 80 years old, a social worker. And she's not so happy about this pandemic because she says being with her clients in person helps her assess them better than on the phone or something. So even though telemedicine's becoming big, she's not really big into it. And she's explained to me that why. And so I grew up with her as a social worker. And my dad was the first person in America to bring windmills to America.
Wow.
And as an alternative form of energy. So I had the beauty, not even realizing this, but I had the beauty of a social worker and a serial entrepreneur who was really an impact entrepreneur. So it's no big shock that I became a social entrepreneur before there was ever such thing as a social entrepreneur, before they were teaching it in universities across the world.
Yeah, that's both ahead of their time. And what a great combo they must have made because of that as a team. Because it seems to me like it's taken decades for corporations to recognize, corporations can't recognize, for the leaders of corporations to recognize that aligning their brand with some kind of social impact, or as we know them, the Sustainable Development Goals, is now like critical, not only to attract the best people and keep the best people, but it's good for business, right?
Great for business. It's great for business. And like you said, when we started ERI about 18 years ago, there was no such thing, Mark, as a chief sustainability officer. Now, what company or organization doesn't have one? So you're absolutely right. It's been a long slog, but thank gosh we're making a lot of progress. And there's a new generation of Greta Thunbergs out there that are not going to stay quiet, and that gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah, me too. But I love the idea that you had a social worker mom, an entrepreneurial impact dad, and they just did it because they knew.
And my mom's still doing it. She's almost 80, and she loves going to work. And my dad's passed since, but that impression as a child, they're larger than life. All parents are larger than life with their children anyway. And they both imprinted me indelibly, and that's lasted my lifetime. And I'm very lucky to have had that. You don't realize it when you're going through it because you're a kid, but as life's gone on, boy, I look backwards and say, wow, I lucked out, in terms of having both of them.
And it's funny, although that expression always weirds me out because every time someone says it's funny, it's never funny. But it's my grandparents used to say, and I'm sure most used to say, that as long as we have our health, that's the most important thing.
Right.
And you'd hear it and you'd get it, but it's like, you're young, you got 10 million years to live, whatever. But if you consider, in our lifetime alone, the speed of technology and change that we've seen from word processing and Gestetner fax machines to all sorts of stuff, and now, as you said, with COVID-19 dramatically changing,
Yeah.
our lives, and and also kind of awakening us back to your parents and grandparents about what is the most important thing. From your perspective, business-wise, then, how do you view the future of work, the future of business?
I'm going to keep doing what I do, which I love, making the world a better place every day. And I think there's a new generation of people that are no longer going to waste time saying they're going to do something just as a transition. I think people really want to make an impact. I think people want to make a difference, and they're going to spend their time more wisely because they're realizing more and more at a younger age, time is all we have, Mark. And they're realizing that, and that's great. They just don't want to do things for the sake of money, for the sake of building a resume. I think they want to do something, and I get more applications to work at our company than I've ever received at any company that I've ever had. And I think that's just the tell that people are really excited. Yes, people need to make a living and buy groceries. We all do. But they also want to go home, and when they go to sleep at night, know they're part of a greater mission than just making a profit. And I think that's going to continue. That trend post-COVID-19 is going to continue to grow.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's I've had my career go in all sorts of different directions too, but every time I kept hearing the word care along the way,
Yeah.
especially being in leadership development and search, and people would used to say, well, how do we develop the best leaders? How come we can't get the best people and all that? I remember Ryder, which is one of the largest logistics companies in the world, finally, we were talking and they said, let's build a daycare center so our young people be happy here with their kids. And they didn't know that they didn't know they were doing an impact investment really at that time, but they were able to attract better people. So I think you're right. Don't you find then that what's happened is leaders are starting to care more because they've got the opportunity to not just be focused on, we've got to get shareholders value. You can actually care. And they also realize the people you're talking about, the young people that you're talking about, aren't going to come to a company just to make money.
Absolutely. And the word care and your leaders with who care series is so timely, because when this whole pandemic started, what I was talking with our company, having weekly calls with everyone at the company. And what I kept sharing with them all is the word empathy. Empathy for their family members, for their friends, for their acquaintances, using more empathy with their colleagues at work, and also with regards to people they were interacting with at our company, such as people that owed us money, people that we owed money to, our clients, and our vendors. Because here's what's really happening. We're going through a reset period. And during these kinds of both very uncertain times, but also we're all dealing with outside pressures and anxieties that we never were faced with before. Characters revealed. And when your character's revealed as a leader who cares, you get a chance to rebrand yourself and your company. And that character can carry you for literally years to come. That revelation that you really cared during the times when the times were the worst, and that your company cares, that will rebrand your company or polish your company. If it was already a company and a group of leaders who cared historically, it will polish your brand even further. And that's what we're finding here. For instance, I'm dealing right now with 10 landlords across America. And what's so fascinating, Mark, is I'm having to renegotiate these deals so we can gently get through this very rocky period. And it's so interesting. Most of these folks are very, very successful. And many of them have been so wonderful to me and really direct and transparent and empathetic to our situation. A couple, though, haven't. And they've shown some horrific human behaviors that you never want to face. And I think that's the case in all sorts of leadership situations across America and across the world. So this is a real great chance to be transparent, to show your empathy, to humanize yourself. I've cried in front of my employees more in the last 90 days than in the last 18 years. But that's okay. I'm not embarrassed for that. It's just the feelings of emotions I were having in the moment. And I think that's going to continue to be a trademark. Caring and empathy is going to be a trademark of leadership for the next generation to come. So I'm so glad you're doing this series on the word leaders who care.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I think you're 1,000,000% right. And I think leaders have been pressured in the past, quarterly results, have to get them, quarterly results for shareholders' value, not wrongly, but not considering that they even had a chance maybe to care because of the pressure to do that. And now there's a safe space for them to say that it's actually good for business to do that as well. And like we were saying before, life is short, and characters, big time if you're going to leave a legacy. And I think one thing I've also learned, I love your comments on that, and I compare a lot of sports to business, and coached a lot, been coached and coached a lot, and been involved in leadership development. And I found the leader that tells a player he makes a mistake, as you said, very straightforwardly, you made a mistake, you screwed up, you did this, now get back on the field of the ice and let's go get them. Or the boss that tells the employee you screwed up, but we need you here, let's make it happen, gets a much better ROI, if you will, on that person, because that person will do anything because that boss or coach believed in them and cared about them, right?
100%. To humanize yourself to your employees, to connect with them first before barking at them is absolutely critical. And even what I realized with just myself here at ERI, because the last 2 or 3 years, Mark, I had to travel about between 150 and 200 nights a year. So I was out of the office. I was always on the road. Now, because I'm forced to slow down, I've gotten to know our employees better than ever, and they've gotten to know me, more important. And I feel so much closer and connected to the whole team again. I tell my partners all the time, I feel like we're the 18-year-old startup again, because it feels like days when we started this company and how everyone was working together, a very flat company, very democratized, and we were all just rolling up our sleeves and doing whatever we had to do to make it to the other side together safely. That's what we're going through right now. And that's been a blessing of this tragic pandemic that we're all living through right now.
Yeah, I think, again, it's so what I'm hearing more is people say, it's actually calming now. I'm able to think a little bit. I'm able to be a little bit type of thing. And with that point that you were talking about travel and global, I mean, you've traveled a lot, you've been global. Are you feeling the same thing around the world?
Yeah. It's so fascinating though, because we have partners in different parts of the world. So we get to talk with them on a regular basis and hear what's going on over there. So we have partners in the UK, very much like America, under a lot of pressure and a lot of things going on, and we followed a similar trajectory. But we have partners and investors in ERI out of South Korea. The Koo family, the LG family are partners, and we speak to South Korea every night. And they're on the other side of this already. They're on the other side, and they were a little bit ahead of us in the curve, but they're on the other side, and they've constantly encouraged us, like, hey, just keep doing what you guys are doing, and you're going to get there safely. And there's and it's good. You'll make it here. And they're now having very few cases pop up that are created within their country. The people are back to normal for the most part, except for hotels and restaurants. And that's been very encouraging as well. So sharing the experience, a shared experience together, whether it's in the UK, whether it's in South Korea and all the other countries, the 90 countries that we get to work with, has been also, as you said earlier, calming, and also has tightened our bonds together. Shared experiences and helping each other and encouraging each other to get through it has actually been fascinating. And and I have a lot of hope for the future for all of us.
Isn't that amazing? Because one thing we've talked a lot about is, the caring about well-being, and there's three parts to that: the financial well-being, the physical well-being, the mental well-being of your employees, but also your vendors, your partners, whatever thing. Like you said, have empathy and know that stuff could be going on in their life, and you got to understand there's parts to care about there. Talk a little bit about, though, because you just touched on it, how, again, it's not only good for business, but doesn't that flow down into community?
Oh, 100%. You get to be known. A brand, like a person, builds a reputation. And when you're doing good work and you're actually making a difference that your he's located in, and the state that you're in, the country that you're in, that word spreads fast. And I never in a million years, Mark, dreamed when we started this little company and our first month of business, we recycled, 10,000 pounds of electronic waste. Before COVID, we recycled in January of this year, 25 million pounds. I never, ever dreamed that they'd be a delta like that. And the fact that whenever I travel and I'm welcomed so warmly and I get so many interesting partnership and speaking opportunities and opportunities to meet really neat people and meet neat companies and work with great companies. It's, we built a reputation, but it's just brick by brick. And it's literally just getting up and doing the right thing every day. I mean, there was really no magic to this. It was a focus that our co-founders and our team had, and it's a continued focus. And so it's been one of the greatest journeys of my life, and I'm just very honored to have been part of this and excited about actually the future more than ever, because again, e-waste was the fastest growing solid waste stream in the world when we started this business. And by the way, it still is, because we have more electronics than we ever had back in 2002. There's more electronics now. And in fact, our cars are even arguably just computers on wheels. All electric cars and all the Internet of Things and Nest and Alexa and Ring and everything. So it's just a fascinating time to be in this industry. And then you combine it with the cybersecurity issue of protecting data. We get to protect people, their privacy. We get to protect countries as we do Department of Homeland Security's work and other people's work. And we also get to protect the environment and make the world a better place. So it's just a wonderful combination of things that have come together, and that's really been the great part of the journey.
You make for a great interview because you answered my next question without me even asking it, man. It was great. I said community, and I was trying to be smart here. I was heading towards, look what you're doing for the community, for the environment and the recycling, but all the data protection and the privacy issues and all that.
Yeah, it's become big. It wasn't part of our business model when we started the company, but like any entrepreneurial venture, you evolve and you iterate it as you go and as you learn what the real needs are of your clients. And what we learned was, as you pointed out at the top of the interview, sustainability took us so far. Circular economy took us so far. But everyone doesn't agree upon all those issues of circular economy and sustainability. But what galvanized everyone was the issue of privacy and protecting their own personal privacy and protecting the privacy and making sure the data was gone of the organizations, companies, cities, states that they work for. And so we get them either way. If we get them on the data protection, but still get to recycle their old hardware, we're still protecting the environment. So that 1-2 punch of the convergence of those two huge trends of cybersecurity and data protection and privacy with the circular economy is a 1-2 punch that's going to continue to grow in the next decade ahead, which will help us keep all these old electronics and used hardware devices out of landfills and out of being dumped in inappropriate places.
I love it. So it's caring about the employees, caring about the business, and that helps the community. I mean, it's a trifecta.
It's a trifecta that's really hard to beat. And it's just really, for me, I'm so delighted I get to be part of it and, and get to talk to great people like you and share the journey so other entrepreneurs out there realize, hey, you just don't have to make a profit. Your business can have all sorts of other great consequences in the community that you're in that will benefit everyone and make the world a better place. Make your community a better place, make the world a better place.
No doubt. I'm proud of you, man. You've done some great stuff in the years of knowing you. We have to have dinner when all this thing is done. But one last quick question. A piece of 2 sentences, a piece of advice you'd give the college graduates, the high school graduates coming out right now. What would it be?
I'm gonna use 2 of my favorite quotes in that we live by. When you walk into our offices, over the front door is Dr. Martin Luther King's words that everyone can be great because everyone can serve. And when I was growing up, he was one of my heroes. And so putting his words up on our walls here so everyone who comes in to ERI can see them is really a way. And those words are timeless. And for the next generation, I think they're words to live by, and everyone can be of service. No matter where you are or what you're doing now, you can be of service if you really want to be, and you can be great. Number 2, my other hero growing up was Muhammad Ali. Yeah. And I'm going to give you my favorite quote, which is the world's shortest poem. And it goes right to your leaders who care essence. And the world's shortest poem, and it was created by Muhammad Ali and stated by him, was me, we.
Love it.
That's all it is. It's not our words anymore, Mark. The words are nice and important, but what's more important for a leader who cares is our actions. Everybody's watching you when you're a leader. They're watching everything you do, good and bad. And so you got to lead by example. And if you lead by example, if you do the me right, the we's going to happen. And when the we happens, that's where the magic happens.
I feel it. Float like a butterfly, right?
Like Mark, that's our generation. You and I are of the same generation.
Hey, it's terrific to have you on the series. I can't wait to get together and have a glass of wine and just hang out.
I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for including me in this very important series. And I can't wait to see you when we're on the other side of this tragic pandemic.
You and your family stay safe, be well, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. You too.
Cheers.